Okay, everybody, welcome to another video. I appreciate you checking it out. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel quite a bit. And let me know your feedback on the content. I really want to know what you think, what you want to see, what do you want to talk about. That's what you want to talk about. What you want to hear is what I want to talk about with you, okay? Have discussions, okay? And speaking of discussions and comments, as the title in this video suggests, competing with co-anglers, okay? It's not supposed to be that way, okay? And I'll kind of lead up to how I think we got here, okay? So you've all seen, if you follow bass fishing at all, competitive bass fishing, you know now what Bass did, eliminating co-angle program from the opens, okay? And I talked about my opinion why that decision was made, okay? One thing that I may not have elaborated on enough was the fact that I just found out that just a few months away from the first open, they didn't have very many co-anglers signed up, okay? And it would have been really lopsided with 220 plus boats and a fraction of the co-anglers, okay? And how do you manage that? If you had half the co-anglers that you did boaters, then okay, fine. Day one, this half has co-anglers, this half doesn't. Day two, you flip-flop it. Whoever had a co-angler the first day doesn't have one the second day. You can manage that and keep it somewhat fair for everybody. Besides what we talked about it altering the outcome, of the tournament for that individual. Okay, so they didn't have a lot of people that wanted in on that, and you can't really blame them, all right? With forward-facing sonar, it's become rough on the person in the back. Now, as I talked about in the previous video, the co-angle program was pretty much designed as a learning tool, a learning platform to see how other anglers, boaters, professionals found, located, and caught bass, and how they did it, the equipment they used, the baits they used, where their mind was. You were actually on the boat with the guy that's made the game plan, decided where to fish, how to fish, put together the pattern, the whole bit. And it's helped a lot of guys, okay? Has it run its course? Absolutely not. I mean, the best way to learn, the fastest way to learn about tournament bass fishing is to fish with as many different people as you possibly can and learn as much as you can. I don't care what videos you watch, what seminars you watch, what articles you read, there's no substitution for being on the boat. It's a lot like any other sport. You can watch it, learn it, study it, but if you're sitting on the bench watching it, it's nothing like getting in the game and experiencing it for yourself, learning firsthand what it's all about and what needs to be done, what these people are talking about, being right there in the thick of it. Okay, so that being said, yeah, it's unfortunate, that they're going to do that, but it's necessary. As I mentioned in the video, if you didn't see it, go back and watch it. I've done several on the faded co-anglers and what Bass just did, eliminating the co-anglers from the opens. And leave me comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, so it was necessary at that level, as I mentioned. Okay, it's now they've elevated the open series to the point where it has been considered like AAA, not even professional level. Well, it's at the professional level, has been all along, okay? But it really is a professional level tournament trail now, the opens for bass. And it has to be treated as such, okay? So what do? We talked about the program that the Nation offers, okay? I can't say enough good things about that. Bass Nation runs a Pro-Am trail. There's several others around. When you go to the regional qualifier, it's Pro-Am. When you go to the nationals, it's Pro-Am. I just learned that MLF on the BFL level, okay, it's co-anglers are welcome, okay, and they're doing linking. Again, you're looking at 200 plus boats. The BFLs have been extremely popular for a very, very long time. Leads to the All-American, leads to the next series in line, the Toyota series and what have you, all the way up till, to MLF. They have the Pro Series, and then of course, they have the top tier. It can lead to that, but the BFLs are offering an awesome co-angle program. Okay, so talking about co-anglers, like the title suggests, competing with co-anglers, it happens. It happens, and it's not good. Okay, it's not good. So for those of you who have tournament fished on a even a semi-professional level, know that there's an unwritten rule. Okay, FLW actually had it in their rules where the co-angler wasn't allowed to cast forward of an imaginary line, center of the boat, somewhere around the console. You drew an imaginary line. Okay, left and right, port and starboard. The co-angler was not allowed to cast forward of that line. Okay, it's always been that the boater makes the decisions. It's his day. You're basically at his mercy, whether he's on fish and where he goes, puts you on fish. If you're in an area where there's a lot of fish, you could potentially have a good day. But that's that imaginary line. Okay, bass, there's another rule that says you can't state where somebody can fish. You can't tell somebody where they can and cannot fish. Okay, you can have a conversation ahead of time, which is what I do. And my own personal feeling is that the conversation that I have usually every single time when I have a co-angler on the boat, not a team tournament, but a co-angler. And some of these guys are very, very good friends of mine. And they understand how I fish with them enough. But I will have a conversation. Number one, if there's a net rule, if you can use a net, if I did bring a net, who's netting the fish? Okay, I typically don't net a lot of my fish. If it's there and the guy is capable on a big fish, I'll have him net my fish. Most of the time, I'm swinging the fish, or on a big fish, I'm getting down in the hole of the boat and I'm lipping the fish or grabbing the fish to bring them in, especially big smallmouth. So we'll have that conversation, okay? And I tell them if there's a net allowed and it's in the boat, if you need the net, okay, I will free spool my reel, push the thumb bar down, free spools, drop the rod, grab the net, two hands on the net, and I'll fall in trying to net your fish, okay? I'll just be 1,000% into it, okay? I expect that in return. That's one of the conversations I have. Second conversation is I tell them what I'm doing. And I'm honest with the opportunities that they're going to have or not have, okay? If it's a spawn tournament and I'm all in on, looking at them, I'll let them know that, okay? And I'll let them know what opportunities there are there for them. I've had plenty of times when I've been locked on a fish trying to catch it, and I know what's around. I say, listen, put on a little black worm and throw out, on that drop right there, And a lot of times, they catch fish. Sometimes even there's some females waiting there, staging to come up, and they'll catch them. Okay, not fishing for the same fish. I'm fishing for that fish. And they catch that fish. That's great. I wouldn't have had a shot at that fish because I'm not fishing that way for that fish. So I'm going to help them. If I see somebody, like recent tournaments, big tournaments, the way I was fishing. I told my co-angler, I said, look, I'm not fishing that way for those fish. Okay, I'm doing this. If I were you, I would do that. And I would say, okay, make sure you hit that spot. Make sure, okay, watch your line. Maybe you want to change color a little bit, change trail or whatever. I'm giving them advice, okay? And I've had people catch, plenty of fish behind me, big fish, 5-pounders. It happened It happened this past summer. I'm super happy for him because I'm not fishing for that fish. I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, was it in an area and that fish could possibly swim out and along and put itself where I'm gonna fish for it? Yeah, maybe. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, same situation, a big piece of structure. Had my co-angler catch 3 good fish behind me. I don't even have a fish in the boat yet. I'm fishing it differently. I wasn't fishing for those fish. Could I have done what he was doing? I mean, if I really wanted to, I could have put the rod I was using down, the way I was fishing it on the back burner, pick up a flipping stick and do the same thing. Would it have come to that point? Maybe. Okay, so he caught him that way. I'd catch him that way. I wasn't upset that he caught those fish because I wasn't fishing for those fish. I was fishing for different fish on the same piece of structure. It's never good when you're competing. Okay, one of the last tournaments I fished, high stake deal. I did have a co-angler that was like all about it. Okay, he had a decent first day and was in it. So I really didn't say anything. I positioned the boat a little different, but it forced me, I wasn't front-ending them per se, but it forced me to make a decision in my fishing. Okay, so for example, if I'm coming down between 2 docks, okay, coming down and we're getting to the back of the docks, I have a choice to make. I can fish behind the dock on the left. I can fish behind the dock on the right. I can look up at the bank and I can see a couple of really nice, well-placed potential fish holding pieces of cover. Okay, where am I going to throw? I'm forced to decide. Okay, in my mind, that piece of cover fished with this bait is going to be my best chance to catch a fish right here. What I don't throw at, my co-angler is going to throw at. Regardless of the whole invisible line. He's going to throw there. Okay, so I have to look at that, consider all those options. And I really don't like doing that. One of the conversations in that conversation about what I'm doing is I'd appreciate it if you don't throw up ahead of the boat. Okay? Try not to hit a piece of cover that I haven't hit first. Okay? After all, I spent several $1,000s getting there and figuring out that there were fish there. Okay? I would like the first shot at catching those fish. Okay? Some people say, oh, those are my fish. They're not my fish, but I did put a lot of time and effort and resources into locating those fish. I at least would like the first shot at catching them, okay? Now, if you want behind me, I encourage them to throw a different color bait, a different style bait, maybe fish it differently, okay? You can throw a jig on a piece of cover and not get bit, and you can throw a square bill on it and they're just all over it, okay? Or vice versa. Okay, so I had a decision to make in this one particular case, and he decided to throw up behind the dock on the right as I was fishing a piece of cover up on the bank on the left, and there was visibly nothing there. Wasn't off the corner of the dock, wasn't underneath the walkway up against the dock. There was no wood, no structure that I could see, and even on my 360, I'm looking. It's just a rocky bare bank drop off behind the dock. He throws up there, boom. It looked like a 5-pounder, it was 4.5 pounder. Could I have used that fish? Absolutely. Would that fish have put me in the cut for the third day? very possibly. Very close, okay? That's what the rub is, okay? It affected the outcome, potentially affected the outcome of the tournament, for me, and how I fished. I can't just let it flow and let fish from my gut and really take my time and pick things apart, because the longer I spend on the cover that I decided to fish, the more he's fishing stuff that I'm going to fish, okay? Which he just took a 4.5 pounder off. That's what we were doing, fishing behind the dog. Okay, so you don't want to get into that situation, that competing with each other. Okay, you want to almost treat it like it's a team tournament, but in the way that you're trying to learn from each other. But there's got to be that respect, on both sides, communication, and co-anglers that know this. A lot of them do. They know that there's been thousands of dollars spent. They know that there's been a lot of hours, days spent preparing, locating these fish. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. So how it all ties in, that's the least of the problems, really, what I just talked about, the competing with co-anglers, okay? It's right now we're competing with technology, really. The co-anglers competing against, technology, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. But I want to stay positive with this and just, again, reinforce that there are lots of opportunities for co-anglers. Just they're not going to be at that upper level. You're going to need to work your way up the lower tiers of fishing. If you want to take it to the next level, you're going to need to become a boater, okay, to get to fish that level, okay. I had a comment too about from one of my subscribers that I want to touch on. And I know this is getting a little bit long in the tooth here, but the kayak series, right? I hadn't even considered it. If a co-angler really wants to kind of jump into the boater side of things, this kayak trail, I mean, they're not cheap, okay, but they're not $80,000 to $100,000, okay, if you follow me. Yeah, we all need the equipment, and this technology you can have on the kayaks, and you can pedal them, you can have an electric trolling motor on them, what have you. There's still some technology, steps there too, or categories that you want to have to decide what's right for you. But I just really think it's a good value. It's a good place to put your efforts. If you want to stay in tournament fishing, competitive fishing, and you want to get out there on your own, I think the kayak series could be a great option for you. And like I've said, if you don't want to go in the direction, you still want to be a co-angler, that's fine. It's just look to the Bass Nation, look to the BFLs. There's opportunity there to jump on a boat with someone else and not have it be a team tournament, which, there's a lot of team tournaments out there that you can partner up with somebody and learn a lot from them. Nothing saying that you have to be team partner with them for every single tournament or for every single season. You can, move around, shake it up, fish with different people in a team tournament trail. So if you're in the Massachusetts area, Rhode Island, certainly southern New Hampshire, what have you, Massachusetts, Mass Bass Nation has an awesome Pro-Am trail, boater and co-angler program that you can jump into. All right, so this is long enough. Again, I appreciate you checking it out, and definitely let me know your thoughts. All right, everyone have a good one.